Dun, 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 dun. This is the Star Wars episode now. Welcome to this episode, The Force Awakens. Start this off. Is your penis awakened, Steve? Did it meet your fancy?
I'm not going to answer that.
No?
Did I walk in with a raging fanboy boner? No.
No, not walk
really.
in, walk out.
Did I walk out? Did
were
you?
Were you erect? Were you excited?
I felt...
No, I mean, I can't really talk about my emotions at the end, but I was more emotionally touched than excited.
So you walked out happy?
Sure, you can say
Sure.
It was,
This is the weirdest intro for the Star Wars episode.
Well, I mean, it's
already.
hard to really get into that without talking about spoilers.
You
so.
just walked out of this, though, right?
No. I saw it hours ago now.
Sooner than me, anyway, because I saw this yesterday in the morning.
Yeah. I mean, I walked out of the theater probably around like 3.
All right, but what did you think?
I liked it. I mean, it definitely feels like a Star Wars movie. It uses a lot of the same groundwork. It kind of is a carbon copy of A New Hope in a different like lenses. But it was everything that I thought it was. It wasn't disappointment. They didn't shit on the franchise. It deserves to make the money that it is right now.
All right, I've been away from the internet because I just don't want to read reviews. I'm expecting there to be a shitload of fanboy backlash. By the way, how much money has this made?
Thursday night it made $57 million. Friday it made $125.
Oh shit!
Today's projected to be like 100. It's supposed to make just 250 alone in the U.S. this weekend. Add on to that international. I'm pretty confident that it's going to make like 400 million globally this weekend, and by Christmas it's going to cross 1 billion. I'm pretty
Well, that's
sure.
already the record-breaking number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It broke Thursday. It broke Friday. It's definitely going to be Jurassic World.
Oh, that's the biggest opening day number ever, right? 120.
Yeah. It's going to probably keep this record until 2 years from now when Episode 8 comes out.
I don't know. Do you really think that Episode 8 will do as well?
Yeah.
Because I don't think... I feel like the first movie, that is the event, and then afterwards, like, even if people like Episode 8, I don't think it'll be nearly as groundbreaking.
You got to remember that, Disney has, even though their stock is falling right now, which I'll talk about in 2 cents, they have the Netflix deal. This is definitely going to be on Netflix before Episode 8 comes out.
Okay,
Think
yeah,
about
but...
that.
Yeah, but...
So there's going to be people that are young kids, mind you, that are going to be rewatching this movie, and like Star Wars Halloween costumes next year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it might not make the exact same numbers, but it's gonna cross 1 billion still gonna do.
Yeah, but it
gangbusters.
won't be as huge though. I mean, because this movie,
Okay.
this one is an event. Like, there's people that are watching this movie just because it's a big deal. They're not necessarily gonna all follow through with the series. You look at Phantom Menace.
So.
Phantom Menace did huge,
That's a totally
and then
different thing.
yeah, but that Phantom Menace was an event, and then Attack of the Clones did not follow through with making
that's the
just as
difference
much
here.
money or
Look,
more than that.
I just I've seen all 7 Star Wars films in the last 60 hours. Okay, a little bit less than that. I think like 55 hours. Okay, I did a marathon of the prequel trilogy. Waited like 20 hours and then watched the original trilogy. And even though I like Phantom Menace, the hype behind that movie, it wasn't justified because most people don't like it. But I think most people that are leaving the theater on this one with The Force Awakens are going to be really satisfied. I mean, I went on Facebook because, like I boycotted the internet for like the better half of this week. And so I saw like 1 or 2 negative things, but the couple other ones I saw were positive. I know on Rotten Tomatoes this has something ridiculous, like a 91%. I know it got an A.
So it's critically acclaimed.
Yeah, it got an A on Cinema Score. I think the Metacritic is like in the mid to high 80s. I don't know. I know I'll check after the show maybe.
See, I might talk with
making the money
you.
and the fans like it.
Yeah, I might tell you why later. I don't know. I'm expecting fans to shit on very specific things, but I don't want to talk about it on here.
One of the people I got out of the theater with called this Star Wars the fan service Awakens. It's pretty accurate.
I do think that's fair. I mean, here's the thing: is that 5 minutes into this movie, I realized exactly what kind of movie this was going to be. That it wasn't going to be the crazy awesome movie that I sort of had built up in my head from marketing and trailers. But you know what? That's a good thing. Like it was very clear what this was going to be, and it was exactly what it should be. But I have to say though, this is my feeling now with starting with this movie and everything Star Wars related in the future from Disney is that what we got here was a fan film,
I
and
don't think the
that's
next one will be. I think Rogue One is going to surprise everyone.
I hope so. But what I'm saying is this is a fan film,
Yeah.
and so will Rogue One be. Like everything
Well,
going forward
JJ
is
is
Star
obviously
Wars
a
fan
fan.
fiction. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and that does kind of make me feel a little sad because I really do feel like what is missing is George Lucas. Like, say what you will, but I do feel like that hand is gone, which is kind of, it's kind of a bummer, but it is
So you
exciting to
wanted
see.
midichlorians.
I don't mind midichlorians. I don't. It really doesn't bother me that much, and in a way. I can't. I'll talk with you about this. Maybe we should do a spoiler discussion on this later.
Spoiler
But
episode. Yeah.
yeah, because there's a theory that was going around after the screening, or at least with my friend that I was talking about regarding one character, and I just hope that it's not.
Midichlorians.
Well, if they set it up to be what it seems like they're making it, then it may as well be midichlorians without mentioning it. And
Oh, I think I understand. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
someone I saw the movie with is under the impression that your friend was under the impression of. But
yeah, I know.
we'll
My
definitely
point
talk
is,
about this on the
I
spoiler
hope
episode.
that not. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, no, I did really, really dig the movie. It was a lot of
It's a
fun.
ton
Yeah,
of fun. Yeah.
yeah. No,
Like,
it's
I thought it. Like I said, it's basically a carbon copy of New Hope, but whereas that one's a slow burn, you got to wait about 35 minutes of whiny farm boy to get over himself to really get into high gear. Like until Ben Kenobi shows up, like it's pretty slow. This one, like from the get go, like once. Well, I was kind of confused by the opening image. It was really, really dark, and the lighting, especially for JJ, this movie, like this doesn't look like it's shot by him.
You know what,
No,
no,
no lens flares, not lots of camera tilts. There's like,
But that is one thing
noticeable
that
one
I
towards the
loved, though, was that opening shot of just how it feels
The
like classic
darkness.
Star Wars. Yeah, but it's a
It's like
different,
flipped on its
unique
head.
shot that does
Yeah.
something. Yeah, like another
It
thing
doesn't
is just
make sense until like an hour later.
I love that, like, just the way that this movie is shot. It feels like a traditional Star Wars movie, but it's always looking at giving us a new, fresh perspective that both being classic and also cutting edge at the same time. Like, I mean, that opening shot I thought was amazing. It's not, it's no Revenge of the Sith, but
I just saw that. And I can't remember the opening shot.
you know what? That's my favorite.
What's the opening?
That's
shot
my
of
favorite
that?
opening, where they tilt. It tilts down, and the John Williams drums start kicking in, and then you just see a ship, and then
Oh, yeah,
the
it's
two
in
ships.
the
It's a
dogfight,
long
right?
take. Yeah, I mean that's, I know a lot of people will disagree on that, but that's my favorite opening at post title crawl because of those drums when they kick in. Like I remember being in the theater when those drums start hitting, and then just that music builds up and those ships fly by, and I don't think I've ever been as exhilarated by a Star Wars opening than that one. But I didn't get to grow up seeing the Star Destroyer fly over the screen when in '77, unfortunately. But
I mean, that had to be amazing.
oh yeah,
I think Spaceballs captures that moment perfectly too, where it's like it won't make stops, and it stretches for like a mile. Let's get into details here. The cast, I thought the new cast was amazing. I thought Daisy Ridley was like, especially for someone just like the old films that had no screen presence, no resume, was just really, really great. And her chemistry with John Boyega was awesome. I really didn't like that they made him Americanized accent though. They couldn't just both have their actual British accents.
it doesn't really bother me because
he
I mean,
sounds
here's
good
the good thing.
American.
Like, even though I've seen John Boyega in Attack the Block, when I'm watching a Star Wars movie, I don't want to think about the actors. I just want to see who the character is. I want to
Well, you
see
don't
who
get
Finn
lots
is.
of
I don't
his
care.
character either though. So
Hmm?
you don't get a lot of his character either. Though.
No, but I mean, keep in mind, this is the first movie. I mean, it's just like with the
It's
first.
pretty
Yeah.
clear cut who Luke is and Han is.
Yeah, but they're
in
not
New Hope.
nearly as well developed as they are later on. And, it's the
obviously,
same thing.
but-
You can say the same for Phantom Menace, even though a lot of people like to criticize
Eh.
no character. But both those movies, including this one, all three are the first installments in a new trilogy. And by Star Wars structure, they just tend to be the fun adventure movies. It's not really until the sequels later where they really dig into the meat of the characters, of the story, and what's going on. Like, you said it yourself, the plot of this movie, it's very clearly aping the I'm not going to call it A New Hope, but the first Star Wars movie.
The first Star Wars, the Star
Yeah,
Wars.
which is not a problem though
No, it's
because
not bad because you
yeah,
know that's what's supposed to be anyway.
yeah, and it's just we just want to spend time with these characters, and even though we know what the structure is, we just like seeing these people doing what they do in that story.
Watching the trailer, even the first official trailer, you're already aware that Kylo Ren is kind of basing his career off of Darth Vader. So it all like that. It just makes sense that he or they would be kind of mirroring what they did. You learn from the past, and they don't really, but like that's how history works. But yeah, talking about him, I thought Adam Driver was kick
I thought he
ass.
was the highlight of the movie for me.
He was so
honestly,
fucking
yeah.
good. Like I really wish he had his mask off more because
I
he
thought he was
brought
better with it on, honestly.
really no. I thought he brought so much to the screen when he was actually looking at it.
He did
But
well when he took it off, but just I don't know, something about the voice and just how
yeah,
he's just kind of looking straight, not really moving the mask. It just really makes you wonder what's going on behind that mask. Like I mean, that is part of the what
well,
was
yeah,
so
it's how
great
the
about
mask
Darth Vader
works.
2 is like you don't know necessarily what's being emoted. It's just it's just you're looking at a blank mask and you can sense that there's just so much evil going on behind
Well, I
it, and I
mean,
really love just
that's
how
what's
sinister that voice sounded too.
that's what's funny about him though. Like anyone that's watched Girls is pretty aware that Adam Driver doesn't really emote anything anyway. So it's kind of like looking at a blank mask all the time. There's like this one moment in the later half of this film where he says, "We're not done yet," and I had like a Girls flashback of like season one when he's telling Hannah like get on her hands and knees.
I had several of those. Like, I mean,
Right?
yeah, no, I know that this is not a direct joke, but
We're not done here, kid.
just when he lost his shit though, when he heard, oh, a girl escaped with the droid, and he
It's like
just
fuck.
yeah, I just indirectly found that funny. Every time that he just loses it,
So
it's
good
so
though.
good. Yeah,
The old cast, or the original members, I guess you call them, like Han, does a spectacular job. He really connects these new characters to the trilogy that they're setting up. But like Leia, I hopefully she's a bigger part in the sequels, but she's
I
like
imagine she will be.
she basically didn't need her to be in this. And it's like the same way that you like people are aware, like Chewbacca is going to show up and C-3PO is going to show up and R2 is going to show up. And most of those, like my crowd at least was, clapping and pretty happy. Like when the Millennium Falcon makes its appearance. And it like, in a way, it was like just the fact that they put him on screen again was good enough. And they didn't really try to capitalize anything besides Solo and Chewbacca. But like, I feel like in the writers' room, they were just going, "What do we need in this? 3PO, check. R2, check. Falcon, check. Hyperdrives, check. Rogue Squadron, yes. Death Star, okay." And they were like, "Okay, we got the movie, guys. Did we leave anything out?"
I mean, yeah, no, it's the same. It's more or less the same plot, almost beat for beat. Like you can find so many parallels even with
A
characters.
desert sand planet and a
I don't want to
scavenger
say
for
who
food.
because that'll hint at spoilers of what happens to what
Yeah.
people's function are within the plot.
I really think that the next film, whatever Ryan Johnson titles or whatever Disney titles it anyway, is gonna really stand on its own legs. I think, like, because there's enough mystery here, even with
Mhm.
like if people talk about spoilers, there's still enough mystery here that, like, I'm optimistic for the sequel. If for no other reason, the final image of this, like the final shot,
Yeah, you just want to see what happens next
I
already.
like
Like,
you want
yeah,
it. Like they could have. The best part is they could have cut it off. They didn't even need that final scene. If they cut off like 5 minutes, it would have like I would have been almost as excited. But then like
it
bang,
would not have been as effective though.
it wouldn't have
I don't
been no,
think.
not as
Yeah.
effective. But I would have been just as interested. But like oh yeah, like there's a reason why they announced 2 or 3 weeks ago that there wasn't gonna be mid or post credit sequences because they don't
Which,
need it. They
thank
did it the
God,
old way.
yeah. I really hope that they don't do that.
I think Rogue One will do it.
They might do something for the anthology films, but for the
I think yeah.
official, yeah.
Because I think like Rogue One, they might tie in the Han Solo movie at the end. Maybe the young Han Solo makes an appearance, like a little cameo. But yeah, really like without talking about the spoilers, which I guess we'll record separately. I can't really say anything negative about this film other than like it tries a little too hard to satisfy the fans. It doesn't have to reinvent the wheel, but at least Phantom Menace took risks. I guess that's like a good point to jump into that. Well, first, would you buy this for a dollar?
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
it's a ton of fun. I mean, it's you know, I love Star Wars, so this movie is pretty much right up my alley, but it's you know, I mean, you make it sound like it's not taking really that many risks. It's not I guess by design it is meant to be something that appeals to nostalgia, but it's not like they're being lazy about it at all and just throwing stuff just for
Yeah.
the sake of it.
Well, I mean, at no point in the story was I like, oh wow, that that never would have saw that coming. That was cool.
Uh,
Like even
I
with how much I had
I
going
was
into it,
for I guess we'll talk about it in spoilers.
like I wouldn't say it was lazy because I was satisfied. I mean, I'll buy it for a dollar just because it's a Star Wars movie. I already own the original trilogy anyway. But I don't know. Like if you're gonna rush out to see this, then they
Yeah,
already
I will definitely
got your
see this
money.
again.
Yeah, I
I
plan to
mean,
see it again in
it's
IMAX 3D.
very rewatchable. Like I really got the feeling of like I have to see this again at some point,
But
like before it goes out of theaters.
if you don't have an interest in Star Wars, you're probably not gonna like this. Even though it's a ton of fun and it has a great cast, and the music's not nearly as memorable as the other films, even the prequels for that matter.
Hmm.
But I think maybe that's
It's
just
not
because the
bad though.
character it's not bad, but I just maybe that's because the characters haven't been introduced long enough for their themes to be memorable. But like when the light motifs of the old characters come in, like it has like a real powerful feeling, especially in a packed theater, watching it with people for the first time. And so, if Star Wars is any part of your chemical makeup, if it's part of your childhood, if it's something that you love, then like I said, you're already going to see this anyway. But if not, like you're probably still going to have a good time. So yeah, let's talk about Phantom Menace. You said we should talk about the saga since
We may
I'll
as
watch the rest of
well.
it.
I mean, you decided
Like,
to rewatch it, so what are
well,
your
Phantom Menace is a good point to start. The reason, like, I didn't really intend to watch the prequel trilogies. It's just I went, I haven't seen Episode 2 in a really, really long time, and I always shit on it. So I just wanted to kind of make it more like fresh in my mind, just in case there are some references, which there aren't. Um, but like Phantom Menace, I think it's kind of the antithesis of this because this is 100% nostalgia, hearkening to a blueprint, using characters that are already there. Or Phantom Menace
it was
is
beginning of
100%.
yeah, it was trying to be
It's
something new.
it's gamble, and it was something new. Like
Yeah.
I've talked to you about this before. I really love the pod racing scene. I still loved it when I watched it the other night. Like Darth Maul, I think anyone will say that's the most memorable baddie of the series, probably even over Darth Vader, even though he only has like 7 minutes of screen time or
And
something
it's
like
just
that.
that look. That's really
It's
it.
the fucking look. Like
Yeah.
Ray Park has like what, maybe like 4 lines of dialogue.
I don't even think
It,
they're him. I think someone dubbed over him.
maybe, but
Yeah.
like he doesn't need it. Like the Phantom Menace, like the title itself means lots of things. It could be just his fucking look. Like it's so menacing. Like with the horns on his head.
Hmm.
Like he is definitely the most badass looking Sith character in any of the films. It's just really strong, and like I was being nice on Jar Jar when we were talking about it in private like a couple weeks ago. I gotta admit,
Does it really bother you that much?
it bothers me now. Like in my memory, I was like, I kind of like him. He's kind of funny, but I don't know. I think it's just the borderline racist way he speaks. Like it sounds like the old South, where he's like, "Misa, say, you go there, Master Annie." Like it, I don't know. It's just it's kind of weird, especially when you remember that it was a black actor who got like no billing, and then he
Yeah.
basically got blacklisted afterwards. But no, like I still thought it was a really good movie. I mean, obviously Qui-Gon Jinn is amazing. Like like I still think he's way better than Obi-Wan in the rest of the prequel trilogy. Like I wish
Well,
like
in the
he
Phantom
didn't
Menace,
die.
I'd say
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor becomes way better just as a
Oh
performer
yeah,
in the
like
later
towards the
movies.
end of
Yeah.
two. Yeah. But yeah, I still like Phantom Menace. Like I think it's a good movie. Like it's very much for kids. It kind of the same way that Force Awakens is too. But like way more. Just like you could tell they're like we want to sell pod racing video games and we want to have these action figures and we got to make these Lego toys.
No,
And they didn't have the Disney money back then. They had to do whatever they could to stay afloat because it was a gamble. It's like the first major film to ever be shot 100% on digital.
no. That was Attack of the Clones. But
Phantom Menace wasn't digital?
no,
Oh
not
no,
yet.
because
No.
that's why they still had Puppet Yoda.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that with a lot of people like to shit on Phantom Menace, say, oh, it's littered in CG, but
Not
No,
really.
not nearly as much as the other two. I mean, because there's a lot of practical stuff. The opening shot of the blockade, like those are actual models. The ship that flies by, there's a lot of practical sets in there, and it blends
I mean, they
really,
probably
really
shot
well. I mean,
they probably
effects
shot
wise,
Phantom Menace like right around the same time that Independence Day was in theaters.
they probably shot it after that because that's like a 3 year gap.
No, it's like 2 years.
No,
Independence Day was
96.
97. Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
97. Never mind.
You know, I'm kind of there with you. I'm slowly coming back around on Phantom
It's
Menace.
a fun movie.
Yeah, I mean, I would talk shit on it just for a while because
Because
you
the
know,
fucking midichlorians and the weird shit that they add to
yeah,
the story,
and that's really just
and the way that Senator Palpatine is introduced when you know he's the Emperor. Well, you don't 100% know, but you're pretty sure.
I mean, it's just the way that I guess, you know, when I heard fanboy backlash and then I listened to people talk on the internet, I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I guess that's pretty bad, but I did like it as a kid, you know, and thinking about it now, it's okay if
Nostalgia,
that's
right?
yeah, if that's I'm sort of coming back around to enjoying it. I'm kind of annoyed by Anakin now, though, when I see him, but
No,
I
Anakin.
can't, I can't,
The best
like,
Anakin is Phantom Anakin. I swear to God. You've seen Jingle All the Way, right?
yeah,
Okay, so the fact that I already liked that movie and they got the same. Well, I didn't really like him in that, but they got him to be Anakin. I was like, okay, I like it. And it's just the fact that you and I were Anakin's age at that
at the
time. And
time, yeah, I thought it was
we
cool,
were
but
like,
now
we were like, this is cool.
now I'm just kind of like, okay, well, this kid is not acting
can
well, and
act.
it's not really
You
his
say
fault.
he's not acting well. Hayden Christensen in episode 2 is like the worst acting I've ever seen. Like
We'll get to
I'm
that
pretty
later.
sure
We'll get to that
when
later.
I watched The Room, whenever I do it, that Tommy Wiseau is a better actor than Hayden Christensen in that second film.
We'll get to that in a bit, but you know what? My point is for Phantom Menace, if that's supposed to be a kids movie, that's a
it is.
pretty fucking amazing kids movie
Right?
when you think about
Look
it.
at the
And
budget. Look at the great actors you got in
yeah,
it.
I mean,
Like, okay, the CG on the Gungans is
it's
pretty
not
bad.
that bad. I don't
It's
think.
kind of bad.
I don't find it to be that bad.
Not on
The
Jar
Gungan
Jar.
City, I thought was amazing.
Oh yeah, but I mean, not on Jar Jar, but like the chief who does the spitting
The blubbering
sheeps
thing, yeah.
which is really weird. Like I get it. Like kids would laugh at that. Like I like kind of chuckled at one of them, but like compare him to like Jabba the Hutt. Like that's kind of like the closest you have.
Well, yeah,
anyway.
but wasn't that a CG Jabba the Hutt
In episode 2, yeah.
or no, in episode 1? No,
Is
wait, that was
Jabba-
probably a
no,
real
no,
Jabba, wasn't it?
Jabba's not in episode 1, is he?
Yeah, at the pod race, he's the one that starts it
Oh
off.
yeah,
you just watched it too.
Yeah, and then he falls asleep. And
Yeah, and he spits on the gong.
On the gong.
Yeah.
No, he bites the head off of something, and then yeah. I mean, his presence is much more felt in episode 2.
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
They do like the same kind of scene.
I don't think he's in episode 2, is he? Or no, I think you're thinking about Watto.
Oh yeah, he's not in the arena.
Yeah, which by the way, how freaking
those
well does
scenes
that
are
hold
kinda
up?
Similar. Episode 2.
Watto,
What the fuck's Watto?
the fucking flying slave owner you know the guy
Oh, the
that's
blue guy.
Yeah,
For some reason, whenever I think of that guy, I think of Saboba, even though Saboba's obviously the pod racer. But he's in episode 2 also, yeah.
yeah. No, but I mean they look pretty good though, right?
Oh yeah, he looks good.
Yeah.
His like his stubble and his beard looks great too. Like they generate like they put way more money into him than the Gungans.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not nearly as bad, I think. Or I don't know. Last time I left a rating on Letterboxd, I think it may have been 2 stars or something. But I'm kind of coming
No, I
back
gave it
around.
3.
Yeah, I'm coming back around to being kind of enjoying it. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world,
No, I think it's.
but I do think it's
a fun movie.
I do think it's the worst Star Wars movie.
Hold up. If you think that's the worst, what are your opinions on episode 2?
I like episode 2.
How? I try to go in with an empty mind this screen. It's a bad movie.
You know, I don't think the romance is that bad.
Are you
let
joking?
me put it this way: I don't think that the moments where they're flirting are that bad.
You're
I think that
crazy.
it kind of the fact that it culminates into this big romance where they suddenly love each other. That's not really that doesn't work that well. But you know, I do like the stuff where they find the clones on that
Oh yeah, the
on that
Obi-Wan
planet where it's
stuff,
raining. Yeah, I
where
like
George Lucas allowed Obi-Wan to find Jango Fett with the cloners. Like
Yeah.
that's not bad. That stuff's okay. The Senate stuff is like the way they like use Jar Jar.
Okay,
as a
you know what?
pawn,
I thought that was
that's
amazing.
okay.
I love that because
That's, like I caught that this time. I was like, I see. They like tricked him because they're like, what would Padme do? If
I
she
love
was
how
here?"
unsubtle that scene is too, where they're literally in front of Jar Jar. It's like, well, you know, if someone could just give you power, then it'd be all right. And they're talking about it, and then he just like puts his hand up to his chin, is like,
I'll do it.
Then
Misa
the next
say
scene
I
is
can do
Misa
it.
proposing, we give power to the Chancellor. It's like, okay, so that's why everything went to shit. You know what?
Because Jar Jar.
I can actually buy that. Like
It makes
I
sense,
think that's
right? Like
funny.
that's
Yeah,
probably gonna happen.
yeah. I mean, hey, that's how politics works, and I find it fucking hilarious,
But I
honestly.
mean, like you said, like everything but the romance. This film is, or that film rather, is like precipice by the romance. That's the most
Yeah,
fun
no,
part.
that's the
It's
thing.
about how these
That is
two
the thing,
fall in
yeah,
love
and
and
it
make these
doesn't. But
twins.
I don't. Yeah, I do find some of those moments charming. I don't find them to be.
They're fucking borderline super creepy. Like the first couple of flirtations where he's like, "I get my first mission with you, and I get to protect you." I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cute." And then like when he gets to know her a little bit better, and he's like, "Every night I dream of you,
Yeah, no,
and
that.
it's a nightmare because I think maybe I'll never see you again. Even though I'm with you now, I feel like it will never be the same." Or like it just like what the fuck, George Lucas?
No, there's definitely some weird stuff, but I don't find like there are moments where I know people like to complain about the thing of like, I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and it's irritating and it gets every.
No,
Why
that's
is that
okay.
a horrible
I think
line?
that's
Yeah,
date
yeah, no,
conversation. That can totally happen.
yeah, and I don't know
I've had
why people
conversations like
like
that.
to like make fun of or Hayden and just quote that line all the time.
No,
And
that date is good. I
yeah,
like that date
yeah,
where
no,
they're
that is a
getting
good
older.
line too. I mean, that says a lot about that character. Okay, he fucking grew up on a sand planet. Of course, he'd
Yeah,
be fucking
and
tired of it.
she
And
grew up on
that's a
fucking
good.
Naboo.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a good conversation starter right there. But no, it just doesn't bother me nearly as much. And I think just the last time I saw, it's probably because I liked the Obi-Wan stuff and the stuff in the Senate
when
that I
did
was
you
drawn
see it
in.
last?
Probably at some point last year, I think.
Okay, well, there's
For
this
me,
one
it was
film.
also, but it was also that a lot of the good stuff outweighed the bad, and part of what I love about 2 and 3 and the prequel specifically is that in every scene there's something new about that world that you find. Like, I love that Obi-Wan shows up in a 50s type diner. And I love seeing
Yeah,
that
to talk to the
exists. Yeah,
mechanic
and
guy.
it's just, that he goes there and he just talks
You
to.
want to buy a jet stick? I don't want to buy a
Yeah,
jet
no,
stick.
I love just seeing those
You're going to
new
go home and
details.
rethink your life. I'm going to go home and rethink my life.
Yeah, no, just those little details. Like, that's part of what I love about the movie. I don't think it's perfect, though. I don't think it's nearly as good as Episode 3.
Like the worst part, like okay, like the gladiator scene at the end, pretty good. The
Yeah.
Count Dooku fight, awesome. The Yoda fight, awesome. Like at the end, like there's some really great stuff. But then you have that whole sequence where Anakin returns to Tatooine to avenge his mother, which I totally didn't even know it when I first saw it. But Joel Egerton, man, that's Lars.
Yeah.
That's cool. But like, and they also throw in Aunt Beru too, which is cool. But that whole he comes back after slaughtering all these Tusken Raiders, and he tells Padme, he's like, "I killed them all, and not just the men,
But the women and the children.
too, and the children. I killed them all. They're dead." And then she like just embraces him. They start making out. How are you falling in love with this guy?
Yeah, I
He
don't.
does this like psycho, like he's supposed to be a Jedi, and you don't like bat an eyelash.
I do
like, he
think-
just murdered all these fucking people.
I gotta say, I do think, because in a bit I'm gonna talk about how much I love Episode 3, but when I get to that, Natalie Portman is just so wasted and so badly written. Like,
Yeah.
and I think
most, like,
that's just
okay.
kind of a big problem there.
I think the problem is that
I don't
George
really-
Lucas can't write women because look at
Yeah.
Star Wars, the first one, New Hope. Princess Leia is just a damsel in distress. Like, okay, yeah, she can shoot a blaster, whatever, but like it's not until Lawrence Kasdan stuff on Empire and Jedi where you really get who she is as a character. Like her lines that people quote, not I should have should have noticed your stench or whatever. Like no, this is actual characterization, obviously with her and Han Solo, but like that's what's important. Not she's walking around with these earmuffs and no bra.
Well, you know what I think a big thing of what makes the romance work for me, and it's something that no piece of dialogue can do, and that would be John Williams.
Just
Like,
their,
just
their
that
little theme.
just that love theme is perfect.
Their love theme is really good.
Yeah, no,
Not
that's
as
such a
good as
great
Han
theme.
and Leia's, but
Oh
really
no,
good.
I think it's better, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, they're both good.
I think I don't know. It has a more of an epic romance. Like it feels bigger to me.
Well, yeah, I mean,
guess,
oh,
that
how
quality
did
too.
we not talk? How didn't we talk about the fact that they literally made Anakin Jesus? That the Force born him, immaculate conception in Shimmy Skywalker's stomach.
Yeah, no, the virgin birth, like that. They brought that. I thought that's a thing, isn't it? That
No, that's a real
like a
thing. That-
criticism that
she
people
goes.
have.
She
yeah.
goes. He says, "Who's the father?" And
She does- yeah.
She's like, "There was no father."
Yeah, no, it's a
And he
virgin
does-
birth. Yeah, and I know.
Qui-Gon was just like, The Force can do that. Yeah. Check his blood to see his metachlorian count. Over 20,000. Oh wow, that's more than Master Yoda. The prophecy must be true. He's gonna bring balance to the Force, guys.
I don't care, honestly, for the stuff that's mentioned in the prequels that much. It's really, I guess when I talk about the prequels, though, it's really episode 3 is what it comes down to, which...
That's what everyone watched, like...
Well, that's the thing. That is the one that...
That's the one everyone was waiting for, so...
And that is the one that has a story behind it, where every single scene is building up to this inevitable conclusion. It's not just filler or things to enhance the world and make things look cool a little bit, but no, it's... Every single moment of that movie is building up to that finale.
They skip some steps along the way, but yeah, like you get the childbirth, you get how he's in the suit, you get the epic final fight, you get the cool Senate fight, you get to find out why the Emperor is a scarred face and why Yoda goes into hiding. Still doesn't make sense to me why Chewbacca knows Yoda, but whatever.
No, that doesn't. It's just fan service.
How fucking old are Wookiees? Like,
hey, we'll find out in the holiday special.
Sure.
Wookiee Education 101.
I'm sure we'll find out in the Han Solo spin-off movie, the Solo movie, the Solo movie.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's like that's nitpicking, you know. But yeah, the fact that you find out that the clones are stormtroopers, like those little things, like it really, which I mean doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things.
I never thought
they're different heights and stuff.
They never made that a definitive thing. I always thought that they just retired the clones and made them.
No, I'm pretty sure they were using the clones all the way up until the end of Return.
No, I mean that's the assumption that the stormtroopers are clones. I assume that they just decommissioned the clones and wanted to give people jobs because they talk about in Star Wars they do mention getting drafted by the Empire. I just assume that that's what that's for, to be a stormtrooper.
Oh, you mean when Luke is like, I want to join, I want to enlist?
Yeah, no, if he doesn't do anything, he's got to worry about being drafted by the Empire.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. Yeah. But then again, he could just be an actual face person. He could like be a janitor on the Death Star.
Yeah, maybe. But no, I'm pretty sure those were always. They were never meant to be clones, or they're never mentioned. Like they never sound the same anyway. So
I don't know. It's one of those things that they could have retconned, but they didn't. Luckily.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you think of Episode 3?
It's good. I mean, it's definitely the best prequel movie. It's still worse than any other Star Wars film outside of the prequels, but like. The themes are kick-ass. The duel of the fates that lasts like 10 minutes is amazing. Mm-hmm. The fact that it's on a planet that's 100% a volcano is cool. It's like the opposite of Hoth finally, and I don't like. There's not much to say at this point. I think everyone that's seen it knows it, and just like I remember like cutting class or whatever back in middle school to go see that one. It was important to me. Like,
honestly, yeah. No, I mean, same like that. I think I've said this before. Like as great as Force Awakens is. I think Revenge of the Sith is always going to be my best experience.
You underestimate my power!
Yeah, seeing it theatrically, like just a Star Wars movie. I mean, honestly, did you watch this with your headphones?
No.
No? I mean, the best sound system that you could get for this movie, I mean, just those drums when they kick in, like, I just remember being in the theater and just, like, just feeling it in my gut more so than, like, that pulled me into the movie more so than any other Star Wars movie ever could, and I still feel that. Like, I mean, Revenge of the Sith for me probably has the best opening and the best ending of the entire saga for me.
The ending.
Oh, but yeah, like just the way it closes out.
Twin suns rising.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, not just that. It's like it's probably about a good like 3 or 4 minutes where it's just all these segments.
The little endings.
Yeah, and they're all just told visually. John Williams' music is perfect at that point. Like, yeah, but the ending just when it does the binary sunset and that theme for the Force just returns, like it just really gets to me, man. Like it's such a great ending, but you know, I really love just the way that this movie, how everything is, you know, like I said, yeah, just it's
like George Lucas made a promise when he made the prequel trilogy.
Well,
it came together.
Yeah, like in this movie, it's really good storytelling. Like it really is a Shakespearean tragedy. You know, it's not all these big like action scenes, even though there is that too, but it's all just about Anakin being slowly manipulated into like joining the dark side. Like just all the stuff that Palpatine does just to slowly.
I love when Palpatine finally says dark side and like his Emperor voice comes out. He's like, "You don't know the powers of the dark side."
Yeah, no, it's very unsubtle, but like you feel it when he's there. Like it is just. How many evil head turns does he do?
a lot. Like he's
But
so
they're
fucking
so
crazy.
fucking good. Like, yeah, I mean,
Like I love that Senate Yoda. I think, oh my god, like the Dooku fight's cool too, but that Senate scene,
yeah,
so
just
fucking
when he,
awesome.
that's another thing. I love how the humor in this movie, it's really up there with I think the humor in the original trilogy because it's not lame Jar Jar poop jokes or anything. When Yoda just knocks out those guys that are at the door. There's that moment in the elevator when they just take out the droids and they're like, "Hey, hands up, you're under arrest."
Pew
Fuck
pew
this
pew.
shit. Yeah,
I love how R2 finally becomes a true badass, and like he burns those droids, like he
yeah,
like pisses oil on
that
them
was
and lights
fucking
them on
awesome.
fire.
Yeah.
It's R2,
But,
man.
though, I gotta say, and you're gonna disagree with this, but I think Hayden Christensen is really
No,
good
no, yeah,
in
he's
it.
good in Revenge.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it
oh,
just
yeah, he's
all
good.
of his like I can accept
I think
that.
it's the hair. He got rid of that fucking stupid
Well, it's not
haircut.
just that. I can accept that Weineken as a character is whiny, and he's clearly matured compared to Attack
Oh
the
yeah.
Clones. That's why I can accept him being that in that movie too, just being unstable. But
Well, I mean, there's still that like there's fucking problems with the fact that like he believes in his Force vision so much. Well, I mean, I can get it because he thought his mom was dying, and then she
yeah,
did in
yeah, I
fact
mean, you
die.
see why that's
But
coming
like
back.
the fact that like he believes in that shit so much to destroy his good marriage, to destroy his friendships, to destroy his chances with the Force, and become like a Jedi Master.
He's not making good decisions, but I
Like,
can
how
see
weird
why
is
he's
it?
doing them. I mean,
How
like
weird is
that's
it that you kind of reconcile him killing all the younglings and doing all the bad shit he does in the original trilogy in that final like confrontation in Return? Like it's so weird. Like you like totally forgive him in that moment. You're like, yeah, well, you didn't know about the younglings yet, but you're like, yeah, it's okay.
I mean,
It's
it's
okay.
fucked up. Like
It's a father-son story.
I know that people like to bitch about how he turns quick to the
It's
dark
not
side
that
right away.
quick. Like Palpatine's whispering in his ear
Yeah, I mean, he's building it
since
up, but I
Phantom
mean,
Menace. Like
but what's really fucked up to me is that Anakin truly believes at that moment when he's killing the younglings
it's
that
for the
he's
greater
doing the
good.
right thing.
Or not that
Like
he's
that's
doing
what's
the right
really
thing,
just messed
but
up.
he believes that if he does this, that his master will teach him the secrets to immortality.
No, I mean,
Which
it's
is
not
like
just
so fucked up because if you think about it, like, did the Emperor ever actually teach Darth Vader anything? Like, okay, maybe he learned how to force choke, but he definitely didn't learn force
well,
lightning.
here's the thing. This is why I
You never
know,
see him do a force jump
but here's the thing.
outside of the when he gets the suit.
This is a big part of why I love that moment where Darth Vader just shouts no, that people love to criticize. And I understand the reason why, but I honestly think it is a great moment. And when the moment that he screams no, it's not.
He rips his arms off.
Hmm?
Or not his arms off, but rips out the shackles.
Yeah, no, when he's doing it, it's just, there's that moment where, they just cut to that shot of Palpatine. And he's just looking at him and he's smiling and
I got
yeah,
you,
it's just
motherfucker.
yeah, and honestly, like that moment where he shouts no, it's not just that it's the birth of Darth Vader, it's the death of Anakin Skywalker, and I can totally buy that, even though it's a cliche, just looking up in the air and characters shouting no. I think it worked perfectly well. I thought it was well suited, especially for someone who was so whiny and unstable beforehand to just completely die on the inside like that. It worked for me.
I still
and just
I'll
that
never,
smile
like,
fucking creeps me
once
out.
once I see Hayden like get burnt and then I see the suit, I'm like, that's not him anymore. It's like I can't assert like my mind can't imagine Hayden Christensen actually in the suit.
You
It's
know,
like nope. It's
I
just it is the suit. It's not you.
when I rewatch Return of the Jedi, I can buy that it's the same Anakin Skywalker that was in Revenge of the Sith that's under that mask. Now, I don't think it's the
With the
same.
master reveal at the final.
I don't think it's I don't
Return.
think it's Ghost Anakin. I think he got older, and that it makes sense that it's Sebastian Shaw for me. But yeah, I can buy, like, at least just from a character standpoint, that that's what he became, and when he becomes conflicted in Return of the Jedi, I can buy that that was the same guy set up in Revenge of the Sith. Which, I mean, that's just another thing I love about Revenge of the Sith is just how all the quiet scenes with Hayden Christensen, where you can just see.
The confusion.
Yeah, all the
and,
internal
like, the torment.
like there's this amazing moment where him and Padme are just in different buildings, just looking out the window at where each other is, and just it's. I mean, even the score at that moment too. It's just it's such a. It's so amazing, that moment.
This is the first time ever that a Jedi's been on the council and not be given the title of
Why are
master.
you making
This
fun
is
of that?
ridiculous.
That's a
I
good
won't
moment.
stand for this.
No, it's a justified scene, and he
No, it
immediately.
is not justified
Yeah,
because he
no,
wasn't.
he
He was self-elected by the Emperor.
no, they allow him.
Yeah,
They had to
they
get
grant him
permission. Yeah,
permission
they had to
because the
grant him. He
Emperor,
was
well, the
suggested.
soon-to-be Emperor
He was
anyway,
suggested by the Emperor, but they didn't like. He wasn't just forced there because of that.
the Force forced him there.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
in a way, yeah, whatever.
yeah,
No, but
yeah.
God, yeah. I mean, I really, I also like just visually the way that the movie is shot. Like, it's not quick cut as the other films. Like, the camera's just very steady, and there's these very subtle zooms that are like very sort of Kubrickian in a way, I guess, or I don't know. They kind of reminded me of Barry Lyndon. Like, they're very subtle, and I love the way that it's done. Even though I'm pretty sure that they're done in post digitally, but like it's just a very subtle effect, and I really love it.
I really wish there was a movie in between 3 and 4 that
Rogue
shows.
One.
No, no, no. Like an actual movie, not a heist flick, that shows like Darth Vader learning from Darth Sidious. Like I wanna like kind of the equivalent of the Yoda teaching Luke stuff in Empire. Like I wanna see that force training. Like I wanna like you because you never see a dark Sith or like any a villain actually learn the way he got there. And like I said, like for sake of argument, you could say that Anakin got the shit end of the stick. And like he's the puppet of the Emperor,
Yeah.
but
No, he definitely
his
is. That's
powers
the end of
never
the movie.
got
Yeah.
better. Like it seems anyway that he was a better pilot in the prequels. Like he was definitely better looking. Like he had more like sway. Like he had all this shit going for him, and then now he just gets this kick-ass suit and a red lightsaber
Dark side,
and
man.
and a really cool like base to hang out on. But yeah, New Hope, right? I mean, well, first off, I watched the despecialized versions. You kind of forced me to. And I guess at this point, this is just gonna be the Star Wars episode. We'll do another one for the other films if you guys are interested.
All right.
So yeah, I watched the despecialized versions for the first time ever. So like the first time I saw Star Wars, I think it was like 99 or 2000.
So all you've seen are the special editions?
Yeah, it was like 99 or 2000. I saw a VHS copy of A New Hope, and I'm pretty sure it was the 94 copy. So this is the first time that I'd seen the original theatrical cuts. I have the 2004 DVDs, so it was a first for me. I thought it was most noticeable in Return. I still think that most of the additions to Star Wars, the first one, weren't bad. I mean, obviously, Greedo shooting first is a big fuck up. But other than that, like I kind of like the Jabba insert. I like the extra like Millennium Falcon shot when it's leaving Mos Eisley. Like extra like walkers in the sand dunes, like little things. Like it doesn't destroy anything. Like it's like subtle touches. Like once you get to Return, that's what I think when they really jump the shark and go crazy with what they can do.
Well, it's
But I
funny
thought
that you say that
kind of
because
stood out.
that's I think Empire's the one with the least changes, but Return
has
doesn't
no
really have many except for the
opening, the whole Jabba stuff.
yeah, well
all
just
the
that
Jabba-
just that Jabba bar scene giving the Sarlacc pit a beak and the ring explosion in
Oh
when
yeah,
the Death Star
all the
yeah
planets
that's
exploding. Yeah, look
yeah
way
giving them wing. I mean there really aren't that many things now though. Well, the editions that you have there weren't that many, but now they made the Ewoks blink and they added a god awful no when Vader is throwing the Emperor down the shaft. That's on the
That's-
Blu-ray. It's horrible.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. It really doesn't fit.
Yeah, like I said at the top of the show, I don't know if we can really talk about this trilogy because like everyone's seen it, everyone knows it. You know,
Well,
really
I gotta.
fun-
I mean, I'm just. I guess I may as well throw in my 2 cents though on the special editions. I don't think they're bad either.
They
But
don't really well. Besides Han shooting first, like
and the
that-
Vader shouting no, like that's the worst one now. Like that's the unforgivable one because it just
it doesn't make sense.
it's clearly taken from the audio of Revenge of the Sith, and that no fit in that context. And then to put it in Return of the Jedi, like right as before he kills the Emperor, like it just makes the sacrifice. It's really just too silly to take seriously. But I mean, I don't think they're horrible. I think seeing the CGI added in the X-wing battle at the end, and
It's nice.
it's fun to see. But
Yeah.
I like seeing it as a different version. I'm still more impressed by the models in the original Star Wars, and that's why I'm glad that the Specialized Edition
Did
exists.
they like a big thing that I noticed was James Earl Jones' voice kind of sucked on Star Wars New Hope. Did
they
they fix
completely
that with the 94?
they
Did they redub
remastered.
it?
No, I think they just remastered it, and it's. I don't know. It's.
Like
I
it
think it's
doesn't
because I think
sound
it's.
like Darth Vader.
I think it's
Really.
more sourced from a mono track. And
Maybe.
it's not until they really gave the original movie the THX treatment that it sounds completely
Uh,
different. Because I've watched the special editions, and it's definitely a much cleaner mix. But I'm more used to the rougher sounding
it sounded
version.
like shit, to be honest.
It's definitely not the same quality, but like I'm used to it, so and I really don't mind. I kind of prefer it, honestly.
I don't know. I still think A New Hope, like even though it has some of the most memorable and iconic moments in the Star Wars saga, I think it's the weakest film in the original trilogy. Just because like it takes so long to get where you're going. Luke in the offset is even more whiny than Anakin is, at least when he's a
I
teenager.
disagree. Well,
No,
he's
fuck no. Look, young Anakin is a badass. Okay, he's a pod racer. He made C-3PO. He's a slave that escapes from his shackles. He gets found by a cool Jedi master. He's like kind of friends with Yoda. He helps save them in their big fight at the end. Like he does all these cool things as a kid. Okay, as a before he's even a Padawan,
hmm
before he's even getting any teachings. And then you get to teenager Luke, and he's like, "Man, I just want to get the power converters at the Dagobah station. Oh, I can do that, no problem. I can shoot the Womp Rats with the dead shot from 10 meters. Like, such a fucking know-it-all nerd, and like,
I don't think he's nearly as nerdy as you make it sound.
oh
He's more
yes.
just frustrated with the place that he's currently at, and he wants to get out of there.
Look, the reason why Topher Grace, his character Eric on that '70s show, loves Star Wars is because he's like, hey, he's even bigger nerd than I am. Probably that's like probably the 100% reason. Like he is so unlikable until he meets Ben Kenobi.
Which is like
30
like
minutes
10
in.
minutes after you meet him too. Like
No, it's like well, I mean, meet him, yeah, but I mean, you got the cutaways to Darth Vader and Leia and all that stuff. But like until they get to Mos Eisley, it's like such a slow movie to me. Like the whole Jawa stuff in the sand and buying the units and the speeder stuff and the very obvious reverse loop that they do on the Tusken Raider when he pulls the gun up. Like the first time I saw it, I didn't know, but now that I know that they just reuse the shot and put it in reverse, it's like it's so lazy. It's like, hey, it looks good, but it's
and well, here's the thing. I mean, I can't. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but Star Wars, like the first Star Wars, that's the first one, the first Star Wars movie I ever saw, which is fitting. But
yeah.
it's also one of my favorite movies of all time, as it is with a lot of other people. So I can't.
No,
I
I
can
don't think
accept
it's
your
a bad
criticism.
movie.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I
no.
just
I'm
think
just saying
like
when you're talking about Luke being whiny, it's like, well, I don't see it that way at all. I mean, it's probably it is one of those things. I guess just I don't have. I can't really offer much of a of criticism to the movie because every time I see it, it's just I'm always gonna be blinded by that first experience, and in my mind, it's just one of the greatest movies ever made. So I
oh no,
can't.
it's a great movie, but just like I don't know. It feels the least impact of the prequel trilogy. Just like because like some of the things don't make sense, and like it's not supposed to make sense because it was the first movie. Okay, like it stands on its own, you know.
Mhm.
But like when you add the other five pieces or six now to it, like what
I mean,
like
it still
just
works pretty well with
how
that.
doesn't
Like episode 3 segues into it perfectly. I
if
feel.
Vader's so in tune with the Force, how the fuck doesn't he know that Leia's his daughter when he's standing like a foot away from her? You wouldn't think that he'd be like, the Force is strong with this one, or like like some kind of shit. Like he's that oblivious, and he stays oblivious until like the last like 40 minutes of Return.
We
Like,
don't know how the Force works. I mean, it's God.
She is
Okay,
very
okay.
at the end
Can I
at the
say?
end of Empire. It's pretty obvious that Leia is in tune with the Force, but like I don't know, just like it doesn't stand well with other films. Like the way that Obi-Wan is. I mean, like
See,
not trying to shit on the performance or anything. And it is the first film, but like when you throw in the others, it seems like a lesser piece in the puzzle.
see, it's just like Phantom Menace and Force Awakens for me. It's the first film in a new saga, and it's really not till we get to the next two in this next series that it's really going to differentiate itself. The first film is supposed to be the fun adventure. It's not the one that digs in deep into characters. It introduces them well, but we have yet to get the complex characterization that the later films in each trilogy are known for.
But even still, in like the later films, like they still like okay, like Ghost Obi-Wan is pretty cool. Okay, like he has sage wisdom and all that shit, and I really wish in the saga at the end when they show all the ghosts, like even with the fixed Hayden Christensen, if they threw in Qui-Gon Jinn, that would have been awesome. Just had
Just
him
in the
there, like
special
with
editions.
yeah, just like throw him in there with his arm around Obi-Wan, or even better, like when you get that shot of Obi-Wan like in his house in A New Hope. If like Luke leaves like a second earlier and Obi-Wan just like looks at him and puts his thumb up and he's like, "It's gonna be okay, pal," or something like that, like I would be okay with that. That would be cool. Like it's a good movie, but it definitely for me now like it tries my patience. Like, even though it's really quotable, like
That's
it's
a
really
bummer.
good. Like those first like up until Mos Eisley basically, like I just and it's so hammy. Like Carrie Fisher's delivery,
Yeah,
like,
there's moments where you're not sure whether she's supposed to be British or
or
not.
yeah, or if she's supposed to be funny,
Yeah,
or
someone made, I can't remember who said this, but someone made this great point of how the performances of Star Wars, all the best ones, and this goes for the prequels as well, they're all from British actors.
oh yeah,
And then,
100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then all the American actors just suck.
I like Mark Hamill though. I mean, obviously Han Solo's
Yeah,
great
no,
too,
no,
but
he's
like
likable, but
I like Mark Hamill once like the second half, like once he stops being a whiny bitch, like he's really good in Return. Even though it's like not the best dialogue, like he's good. I think it's just his demeanor with like the android hand, with the all black outfit, with his brand new green lightsaber. Have you seen that clip by the way? It's on YouTube. It's from like
rebuilds
Star
it.
Wars Celebration. Yeah,
Yeah,
rebuilds it.
yeah,
Yeah, where like yeah, I'm pretty sure that's on the Blu-ray set.
yeah.
It's seriously like a 15-second shot, but oh, that's
It's
so
cool,
cool,
yeah.
so cool. But like I don't know, just like even like imagine, just imagine, okay? Let's jump to Empire now. Like imagine your dead master tells you to go to this Dagobah system, right? And you fly out there in your X-wing and you crash land on the planet. And R2's being a jerk, and this green fucking Muppet comes up out of nowhere, starts talking weirdly, and is eating your food. Like, how would you act? And I think Mark Hamill does a great job of what almost anyone in that position would be.
See, you think he's annoying in the first movie? I think he's much more obnoxious, honestly, in Empire. I mean, because he just does nothing but complain the whole time. And yeah, I mean that's a big part of his downfall in the end. But
It's
yeah,
a
he's
big
just
part of the
constantly
Skywalker line.
he's
So
constantly doubting though everything. It's just like I
that's the
can't do
fucking
it. I
Skywalkers.
can't lift the ship. I can't do it. Like it's. I mean, I don't know. I just found it more
That's why you
obnoxious.
fail.
Yeah, for the
Look,
longest.
oh look how much different it is though. Okay, look for Anakin, he had all these Jedi masters around him, and he like went to the academy. He's going on all these missions, and he's learning shit. Like Luke, there aren't any Jedi. He met one of them. Well, excluding Yoda, he met one, and he died before he learned anything, basically.
I don't know, for me, the
And
way it is though.
and so like you get to Yoda, and you don't know what the fuck the Force is. Like you don't know how to move things, and the audience didn't know either. And so like I get it. Like you don't know what your abilities are. You've got no idea. You don't know who your father is. For some reason, it's a mystery to this point. Like Yoda can't just be like, "Oh yeah, your father's Darth Vader," and or
No, you don't
sorry,
want.
your father Darth Vader is. I know you can't do it because that's like one of the biggest reveals in
Well,
film
I mean, not
history.
just that, but why would you? No one wants to tell them that their father is this bad guy, because then what happens? You probably would end up in a whole existential crisis of, oh, well, is that what I'm supposed to be? Which is kind of what ends up
Yes,
happening later
yeah, that
on.
ends up any.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, honestly, for me, what it just comes down to is it's easier for me to sympathize with a kid that's just stuck on a desert planet that's longing for more out of life than it is for a
He's
kid
only
who's
stuck on that planet for like 15
yeah,
minutes,
but I
so.
mean, I don't find him obnoxious to that point. He just wants some other stuff going on, and whereas you get to Empire and he's just giving up constantly, and that's all he's doing, and it's harder for me to sympathize with that.
Well, he has like zero training, and he's
Well,
taken on
that's the point. He's
the
being trained.
strongest guy in the
Yeah, but
universe.
he's constantly doubting himself and just constantly giving up and going, "I can't do it," and that's I mean,
You need
it's
the only. I'm pretty sure the only reason that happened is so you could make the motivational like posters with Yoda, like
it's like yeah,
do
no,
or do not. There is no try. That's probably the most like quoted Star Wars
like I'm not
line.
saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's really much more difficult for me to connect with
I
him in
I
that
think that
movie.
force training is so fucking cool that I don't care. Like seeing him do the one-handed handstand while lifting all the rocks and trying to lift the fucking X-wing. Like I'm okay with that. He can do whatever the hell he wants. Him like eating food with Yoda, like that's cool. Speaking of which, we didn't talk about this. Force Awakens, they finally actually show someone eating in a Star Wars saga for real. Like that's the first time ever.
You're kidding. Wait,
No,
no,
I
no,
just
it's not.
rewatched the
No,
movies.
it's not.
Besides that
Pears.
Yoda, what?
Pears.
That doesn't count,
Yeah, that
man.
counts.
They don't eat like she takes one bite and it's a
It's
pear. It's
still
not anything. It's
that's
not
food.
anything
That's
sci-fi.
food.
You see Ray fucking put some powder in a like in a
Whatever it is,
thing
yeah.
and put some water in it. It turns into bread. Like I was like, oh my god, that's really cool. Um, whereas like other than that, you just have seriously all you have is Empire, where you have Luke with
Eating
his
for the
like
first time, saying
tray
it's
of
good.
TV dinners.
Yeah, okay, well, no, he's eating whatever Yoda's cooking. That's not.
No, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
saying he's that too. But right before that, when Yoda comes up, he like takes a bite of his like frozen meal
Okay,
or
well, you just
whatever.
proved your own argument wrong. That Force Awakens, that's not the first time someone's eating
I mean,
food.
like actual food. Like you don't even see like all you see is like Luke like scoops some of the soup or whatever it is into his cup. He puts some in his mouth. He like makes a face for like, oh, this fucking sucks. And then he sprinkles some crackers on it. And that's it. They don't eat. They don't like sit at the table and eat. Like you actually have the shot in the Force Awakens where like Rey's sitting there on Jakku, looking at the sunset, looking at the skies, waiting for something to happen. She's like eating this food, and the fact that like her whole existence on this planet, all the scavenging she does is for food.
Right.
Like it's
I
not
mean,
her,
you know
so it's
what?
actually food.
It's at this point, it's kind of dumb that we're having this conversation, kind of. But
No,
I
it's
will say this: that
food. It's
okay,
space
that
food,
use
man.
of food, that's probably the most meaningful use of food in a Star Wars movie because it says a lot
What
about
about the
how.
pears?
Yeah, no, I mean, no. In pairs, it's just like okay, it's
Yeah,
cool.
I love that line.
Force
She's like,
Awakens, it's because she has
Obi-Wan
to
wouldn't
eat.
approve of this, and let me cut a pear midair.
Yeah, no, in Force Awakens, though, it's because
I'm
she's
surprised he
got
didn't
to
take his
eat. That's the
lightsaber
thing.
out and cut it like that.
That would have been cooler.
Imagine if you like cut like a chicken midair and like it cooked when he cut it with the lightsaber. I can see an infomercial now. It's like get your own cooking set. But I don't know. I mean, Empire.
It's Empire.
It's one of the best movies of all time. It's definitely the best sequel ever made. It's a series. It's life. It's a series of down endings. It's fucking realistic. You got Lando. You got Thespin in the Cloud City. You have like actual, like you said earlier, like fleshing out of characters. The fucking Tauntaun lines. You see a Wampa get fucked up, and then you also see Luke get fucked up. So much stuff. Too much good stuff.
And then Jedi.
Like it is definitely weird and campy, and I like to shit on the Ewoks, but it's a really, really fun time. Like it's really good. Like begin and end smiles, like the adventure is real, like them taking on the Death Star seems more realistic. The fact that
Like
the
the
Emperor
effects
was
are way better
actually
there. Yeah.
so fucking good. Like the special like I watched these specialized. I couldn't even tell any differences, like I said, besides the Jabba the Hutt sequence, which is totally different. It like the opening of Return, the way it was in '83, is so weird. It's like campy.
Yeah, the
Like
Jabba thing. Like
yeah, like the like you could it feels like a Saturday morning cartoon in his like parlor. Like the way it happens, the way that like they set up the heist with like all the outfits and in disguise to get Han back. Like it very much like I haven't seen him, but I have to assume that that's the same kind of tone that those like Ewok movies have or the Jawa movies, like all those made for TV specials that they did after Return came out. And like it feels just like that. And you have like the singing like aliens and all this weird shit. And then like obviously you get to the Sarnak and like I don't
Sarlacc.
know. Sarlacc, excuse me. It's like a totally different movie, and you have that like Army of Darkness moment where Luke has to fight that monster in the pit, and everyone's watching, which is badass. Um, so good. It, they have that little opening sequence that lasts, like the 25 to 30 minutes, and then after that, it's just like 100% high gear.
Yeah,
It's the most actualized Star Wars movie, even still. Like they don't jump around. It's not like, oh, let's see the dark side, let's see the Jedi, let's see what Luke's doing, let's see what his dad's doing. It's like 100% like linear, like progressing naturally. Like scenes are actually strung together in a meaningful way, and it's directed by some guy that no one even knows, Richard Marquand, like who directed like nothing else. Like Irving Kershner, he directed Empire, and he directed like RoboCop 2 and like a couple other things. But like they kind of knew who he was. But this guy, Richard Marquand, like who? Like even still, like you looked at his IMDb,
he did something that
like
Lucas liked.
I guess,
Yeah,
but like
the original
nothing, and
choice was supposed to be Spielberg, right?
that wouldn't have worked. Well, with the Ewoks, it might have worked, but I can't see Spielberg making a Star Wars film.
No, yeah. Well, at the time, I don't know, because of Indiana Jones and his relationship with Lucas. Like,
Oh yeah, they still have a really good relationship. I can't see that. Like I can't imagine Spielberg's
well, yeah, it's
sensibility
especially
in the Star
now.
Wars
I
universe.
think.
Maybe
Then,
Phantom Menace. I could see that being a Spielberg movie.
no, maybe. But I don't know. Thank God it wasn't. Honestly, it's. What I find interesting, I guess, just thinking about it. I saw Jedi again at some point earlier this year, and it's. I don't know. I don't feel it necessarily blends perfectly. I do feel like the stuff with Jabba is kind of. It really does feel like it's a completely different movie, but it's necessary and it's still fun on its own terms. But then once it jumps into the other stuff, it's weird because it feels cohesive and yet tonally off. Like
Yeah, well, I
you
mean,
have the
'cause the
stuff.
fucking Ewoks
Yeah, I know
stuff,
you got
man.
the
It's
stuff with the
weird.
Ewoks. It's very,
The fact that
it's
this
very campy, but it's still
tribe of
fun.
teddy bears is able to overtake the biggest army in the world or in the galaxy rather,
Yeah, I
like
mean it's just weird because
with their rocks and
you have
sticks.
that, it's campy and it's fun. Then you have this very fun space battle that's very heroic and
Where
more
Lando actually
triumphant.
gets to be a
Yeah,
hero.
and then you go to the darker shit, which is much darker than anything that's in Empire, which is just Vader and Luke, and that's probably for me that's the best lightsaber fight in the entire series. Like it's just
I don't know. I mean, even though it's so short, I really like the three-way with Darth Maul.
well, I mean, that's probably the most fun one. But I mean, if we're going by how J.J.
Just
Abrams
like,
puts it, that lightsaber fights are dialogues. Like
oh
that's the
yeah,
best
definitely.
one. Yeah,
Especially once the Emperor gets involved. I love how Obi-Wan tells him, he's like, don't underestimate the Emperor. And then what's he fucking do? Throw his lightsaber on the ground and get Force lightning to death almost. Like
well, yeah, but you know why?
I know,
Come
yeah,
on.
but I'm just saying, like, I just imagine if like Luke was like, "Fuck you, Emperor," and like to try to kill him instead. Like I would have liked that a lot more. Like it would have made sense in who Luke is, but like if you try to fight him, or if him and Vader try to fight the Emperor together, that would have been cool. Like that would have been true re-envisioning. So we just talked the whole thing. We're gonna have more to talk about in a couple of days when we put our episode for holiday special up. But I actually saw the other piece of Star Wars. Let's talk about this right before we end this episode. I've seen all 9 episodes of the Jakku Spy VR stuff on the Star Wars app. I've spoken about this on the show before. I have a Google Cardboard, and I did in fact like show it off with my friends before and after our film today. Um, it seriously does add to the Force Awakens experience because the whole thing it's just kind of like following BB-8 on what he's doing when he's not with other people, mostly on Jakku when he's just like spinning around the planet. And so you get these little virtual reality episodic treats in 3D, obviously, of what's going on. Like even like I can't really say it, but like the best part of Jakku, okay, the end, like the final sequence they have there, and it's not like really that meaningful, but I mean it's like a movie in a box, and you can watch it even if you don't have Google Cardboard. Like you can just watch it on your phone with 360 degree like viewing, if you will, and I definitely recommend doing it, even though it's kind of heavy on the bandwidth, so definitely use your Wi-Fi. But if you haven't seen this, Steve, you should totally check it out. Like it just adds something to the experience. Like I wish they had like maybe they do in some theaters, but like a little like marquee so you can check it out when in line or something.
No, I haven't seen any, but
You should do it. Like you can download it yourself. You can
I'll look
just
into
watch
it.
on your phone. Very fun. So yeah, thanks for listening to our all Star Wars episode. We're gonna have a regular 2 cents recording right now. You can listen to that, and I guess also just because we have to, we're gonna be recording some spoilers. So maybe we'll put that up midweek so you don't stumble upon an accident.